you have to develop boundaries. And a lot of people, it seems to me, are afraid of establishing boundaries because they don't want to lose that connection. Because to them, a boundary is like a fence or a wall. And I say, how about a boundary is a gate? Okay, you let them in and show them the way out when you need to. It doesn't mean you have to block everybody off. Because like you said, the easiest way to understand and develop boundaries real quick is when you're hurt. You say, nope, I can't have you in my life. You hurt me. F off.
Take control of your life. Break the chains and rise. No more feeling powerless. No more shame. Take your power. Break out of the pain. Because it's more than fornication, more than procreation. It's not just self-stimulation. Sex energy is for creation and transformation into a new destination.
This is Porn Talk.
Porn Talk. Change your heart from dark to light. Porn Talk. Break free. Take back your power and rise. I said take back your power. I said take back your power. Take back your power and rise.
This is Porn Talk. Here is your host, Eric Zuzack.
Today, we are recording our 100th episode. Yes, 100 episodes. I can't believe we've hit this incredible milestone together. We've laughed, we've learned, and navigated the twists and turns of relationships like the true champs we are. Now, you might be wondering what the secret sauce is behind 100 episodes of pure podcasting magic. Well, it's you, our fantastic audience, sticking with us through all the giggles, aha moments, and occasional technical hiccups. But hold on tight, because today it's all about celebrating with a trio of absolute rock stars who know a thing or two about love, connections, and all that juicy stuff in between. First up, give a warm welcome to the legend himself, William Duffin, aka the one and only Sir William the Intuitive. Welcome, Sir William.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And get ready to have your mind blown by his off-the-charts insights into what makes us tick. Next, let's hear it for Angela Skurtu, licensed marriage and family therapist, a total trailblazer in the world of sex therapy, a sex-positive therapist. Trust me, you're in for some eye-opening conversations that might just make you blush a little bit. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you. That's all true.
And we are rounding off this trio of awesomeness with Beth Darling. Yep, the ex-divorce attorney turned sex coach. Talk about a career 180. She's here to spill the beans on how embracing our desires can lead to some seriously amazing transformations. Welcome, Beth Darling.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be in this great company. I'm exciting. I can't wait to blush. And William, whatever you know about me, I'm already embarrassed, but tell me anyway.
All the guests here are returning guests.
So we'll just jump right in. So I was on Eric's podcast long ago, and I tend to be a little different from, as you'll learn. But basically, I am not necessarily against porn. I think porn is a perfectly healthy part of a relationship, and it can be depending on how it's used. I think masturbation is a pretty healthy aspect of a relationship as well. And what I guess I will throw out there, and I talked about this in our last podcast episode, basically, that like it's about how it's done. It's about partners being on the same page about things. It's about you being comfortable in your own head and your skin about how you're going to use those things to your advantage. And it's about like unlocking shame around things like that. So those are the topics we talked about then. Those are the topics I will be bringing up today. I know you kind of put up earlier, like, how have I changed? I think I've just come more into my sense of self, and I just say the shit that I think, and I don't worry what anybody feels about it. I've come into my fuck it space. I hope cussing's cool, but like I just don't give a fuck. It's like either agree or don't agree. I have
the
to
podcast.
back up my shit.
The name of the podcast is Porn Talk, so yeah, of course you can say whatever you
I
want.
hope so.
And I remember back when you were on the first episode. Oh, not the very first episode. William was on the very first episode, but you were my second guest, I believe. And you had
you for a few loops.
You had went to Thailand, and there was the lady boys. You were talking about the lady boys.
I like lady boys.
Thailand. Refresh your memories about that.
Oh yeah, no. Well, Thailand's actually a very inclusive, sex positive space, a very LGBT friendly space, even a female friendly space. Like females can feel comfortable traveling to Thailand solo. But yeah, no, there were lady boys in Thailand, and actually Thailand is a country that's very comfortable with people who are gender fluid, and the lady boys are simply people who kind of present as feminine. I think in Thailand, they've been open to that sort of transgender space for many, many years prior to us kind of as America trying to figure out what that means for us. And they have a very positive stance on it. Like they see them, as like somebody to look up to, something valuable and special. And so it's interesting. But like when I went to Thailand, there were people who are transgender from the US traveling there because they wanted, just that sense of comfort in their skin in a place where people aren't looking down on them, but seeing them as just people. And that's another thing I've really been thinking a lot about, people are just people. Just be respectful, but people are people. Wherever they line up on those spectrums.
Right.
I say we're all crazy in our own ways, right?
Yeah, embrace your crazy, right?
Yeah. Yes.
In all its glory.
Yes, as long as your crazy doesn't hurt somebody else, right? That consent. But otherwise, crazy, yeah, we each have our own version of crazy.
Definitely. Beth Darling. So thinking back to where you were, it's been a while since you've been on as well. Where were you then? Where are you now? Or what are some memories you have?
Well, at the time, I was sort of in labor. I was in active labor trying to write my book. I looked, it was a year ago. It was August of 2022. And so since then, and we talked on the show about the different kinds of intimacy. And my book is The 5 Kinds of Intimacy, How to Keep Your Love Alive. It
wasn't out yet at the time.
No, it came out at the end of January of 2023. So I was busy doing that. And between then and the end of the year, it basically sucked the life out of me. I swear it really is like giving birth. I have 5 children, and that it's a long, drawn out, painful process. And yet at the end, I hope it's worthwhile. And I will point out, by the way, those legs, those are mine. I am so proud of that. Right? And like someday I'm going to be really, I'm almost 58, but I'm going to be really old and go, look at that, damn it.
Oh, you're 58. You look great.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So,
you're welcome.
Yeah. So I am. So that's what I've been doing since then, is really helping people. It's the book has brought a lot of attention. It's pretty cool. I get emails from people that I've never met. I have no idea how they heard about the book or anything, and telling me. The other day I woke up to one from a woman who'd been married 43 years, and she said they still loved each other, but of course they've gone through ups and downs. And she's like, your book actually gives me hope. And she's like, my husband's even reading it, and he doesn't read anything, but she's like, the fact that you talk about sexy fun. So I'm just really proud of that. And I really think that, I think the 5 kinds of intimacy are truly the foundations for every healthy, happy, lasting relationship, not just the romantic ones, but, so that's what I've been doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Sir William, what can I say? Sir William Duffin was there with me for the very first podcast. I mean, come on. I got to give the man massive kudos. Hey, William, will you get on this show? I made the show Porn Talk. I'm going to talk about masturbation and quitting pornography. And would you be my first guest?
It was an honor.
And he didn't even bat an eye. He didn't even bat an eye. William and I go way back now, and so William, I'm just really proud to call you my friend. We've been through a lot together, and thinking back to that very first podcast and all the podcasts, William has been a regular on the show.
Oh, we were so young and innocent.
Yeah,
I'm almost 30.
Y'all lost your virginity together.
Oh God.
We call it making sexual debuts.
There you go. I like that. Debut. Well, like I said, I'm honored to be here. 100 episodes, and I'm still learning and growing myself.
One of the reasons why way back when I wanted William to come on the show is because he's very good at what he does, but he's got a lot of intuitive insights on relationships and that, because he talks to people every day. And of course, one of the big questions people ask about is relationships. And so he has great insights. He's been really helpful for me, both personally and professionally. So
awesome, man. Thank you.
You're
I'm like, I'm sure all three of you consult with people individually, right? And you've learned that there's patterns. Mm-hmm. I mean, and like a person will come to me and say, well, does he really love me? And I'll say, why are you asking that question? If you're asking that question, then why do you want to be in a relationship with him? Mm-hmm. And I bet especially Beth, who deals with, but from divorce lawyer to what you're doing now, you're like, there's some obvious questions that can really help straighten up a lot of things right off the bat. So,
and how about the question, William? How about this one? How about, is my boyfriend cheating on me? Or is my husband cheating on me?
Oh, one of the most beneficial questions I've learned to ask is, what are you going to do with that information?
Well, my point is, like, if you're having to ask that question, I think we know what the answer is.
Bye-bye.
Well, even if it's not cheating, it could simply be that, like, there's enough of a fear about what's going on in this relationship.
Exactly.
We need to have a conversation, right? Like,
right. And maybe that person just needs to address her anxiety.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes they are cheating, to be fair.
Yeah.
It can be anything. Yeah. Like, the question codes, we need to figure something out.
Yeah. But I will say, one of the things that I learned, right? People always talk about sort of this emotional affair or something. And one of the examples, so my 5 kinds of intimacy: physical, emotional, sexual, romantic, and spiritual. One of the examples I used in my book was a gentleman who at work became very friendly with a female colleague and would have lunch with her all the time and would talk. His marriage was struggling, so he would talk to her about his marriage issues, including their sex issues, and she would do the same about her marriage. And the gentleman who was my client, he and his wife was incredibly jealous. And is that? Oh,
that was you.
Okay.
No worries.
Is that me? I've never heard that sound before.
Me neither.
No, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'm sure we can edit this out, I hope.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know what, some spooky thing. So, but anyway, so his wife was very, very jealous and thought that he shouldn't be talking to her about sexual stuff. So my version, the way that I figure out about cheating, because this was a case of, they still needed to work through it, but they needed to know where the lines were. Did this gentleman really need to cut off his relationship with this woman at work. And what I helped them come up with is that there was no secrecy. There was no secrecy and no shame, which to me meant there was nothing there. And in fact, even though he had emotional intimacy talking about his relationship with her, and sexual intimacy because he was talking about his sex life, because sexual intimacy is not just sexual activity. It's talking about, it's coming out, it's etc. So even though he had those with her, his focus was on his wife, and that's where his intention was. And I have to say the blessing of that is that moving forward, a year and a half later, when the wife was having troubles with the husband, she would then call up the friend and say, would you kick him? Would you put him in line for me? This is what's going on.
Boy.
And that, I think, is just beautiful. And so, again, sometimes I think we're worried about cheating because we are just not sure. And clearly it means there's a disconnect someplace.
So I can speak to this. I have a book on infidelity. My book is helping couples overcome infidelity. And with that in mind, like that's a big part of my work with couples post-infidelity. But even if there isn't an infidelity, it's about having clear boundaries around what feels healthy and what doesn't. What I find in monogamous couples is they don't have clear conversations, like very overt conversations about here are the ways that we're going to respect our relationship and hold it sacred, hold it special. And that doesn't mean you can't have friendships like that, right? Like people call those work wives, for example, or like, you're allowed to have friends. You're allowed to have friends with a lot of different kinds of people, but there do need to be clear boundaries around what that looks like. And honesty, you just mentioned two of them, like being very open and honest about it is one of the boundaries that can be there. And so I agree with you. I think it's about having a lot of overt, direct conversation and also normalizing. So the shame piece is when people take a normal thing and add shame to it, you actually lose your sense of self-control over it because shame comes with a deep underbelly of intoxication. I want to do this more. Oh my God, this is so bad. Like a crush. I was spending like right before this, I spent a whole hour and a half talking to couples about crushes. Like when you have a crush with somebody and what do you do? But like having a crush gives people this sense of shame. Like, oh my God, I'm in love with this person. How come I have a crush over here? Well, because you're a human being with warm blood. Like, everybody has crushes. There's nothing weird or odd about a crush. But when you put it in a shame category, I have a crush. What does this mean? Am I not good in my relationship? Am I not okay? You are more likely to act out in harmful ways when you associate shame with that normal process. Whereas if it's just kind of like treated with self-compassion, like, yeah, I have a crush, you can actually dismantle the power of the crush and just talk to the person like a person and then become a human again. So that to me sounds like an awesome example.
That.
Having a crush, when I think about that, I think of high school or even puppy love, having a crush. But I understand what you're saying. If you're a monogamous or married person and there's someone that you have a crush on, that like you're just supposed to deny that. Like what do you say to somebody that is in a situation like that?
Well, like I said, you don't even have to tell your crush you have a crush. Just like when you were in middle school and you had a crush on, like, I don't know if you remember your old crushes, but I had crushes for like 6 months on people that I would just avoid them, really. And it's cute because my daughter is 8 and she has her first crush is this boy down the street. And every time he's around, she's like 20 feet away from him. But like, I could see her little face like, oh my God, I love him so much, right? But so what I tell people is that like crushes are normal, and you have crushes from when you were a child all the way until, like, think of the nurse who takes care of you on your deathbed. You don't think you're going to get a crush on somebody who's helping you in such a deep and intimate way? It's one, you normalize it with self-compassion. It's normal to have crushes. It's normal to like people. Like, we like people. When you have self-compassion, then you can actually set clear boundaries with that situation around, okay, I have a crush. I'm aware of it. Now, how do I decide how I'm going to move or act in this situation? Because I do like this person and I want to make sure I stay respectful of my partner and hold my relationship sacred. That's if you're monogamous. Now, if it's the other worlds, because I work with people across all spectrums, if it's in the monogamous world, it's clarifying what that looks like, where it can go, what in the relationship feels safe or not safe. So the answer always depends on how people define and where they land on spectrums. But even so, it doesn't matter whether they're monogamous or non-monogamous. I'm still helping people be very clear and overt about their boundaries and what feels right to them.
Boundaries is a very important word. Boundaries. Beth, what's your input on boundaries?
That it's such an easy thing to say, but it is so flipping hard to establish your own.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't establish your own, you're going to have very little chance of going into a relationship and being able to set relationship boundaries. It's a little bit of the opposite of dominoes, right? It's just if you can start lift one up, then you can do the others. But
the guys, there's more than just guys that listen, but the guys that listen clearly have some challenges with boundaries. Either they're cheating or using porn in an unhealthy way. So boundaries is incredibly important. And I primarily work one-on-one with the guys, but sometimes I do with the wives, and primarily it's about boundaries.
I have a way to think about it if you want more. I actually get this from the kink community. Limits and interests is a way that I talk to people about boundaries. This is a new one that I've been learning about. So limits talks about things that feel off limits or like are outside of my boundaries. But interests talk about, like, I think of boundaries like little fences around your heart. And I agree with you, Beth, about having your own, and like boundaries are about how you hold yourself accountable. First, and then there's the negotiation between partners. But like interests suggest, like, within this fence, like, what are the things I would like to see happen? What are the things I would like to enjoy, right? So like in this friendship idea that you had with like this, the work wife, like, I do want to talk to her. I do want to have a relationship. Actually, I'd like you to be a part of that relationship so it doesn't feel weird or shameful. Like, that's an interest. Limits are, hey, when you talk about this, or if you act in this way, or if you're like, I don't know, if you're going late for like a happy hour alone, that feels uncomfortable to me. That's a limit, and so I use the kink community. I use all of the communities to learn my skills, and they're super valuable. But that's how I kind of identify boundaries to some degree.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Beth.
Oh, I think ironically, the one time that people are usually, or many people are often really good at establishing a boundary is when they're hurt and they want to withdraw, right? Then we're so good at just being like, nope, you are not going to get past here. Doesn't matter.
Walls, though, not boundaries.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, so they are walls and boundaries, but right, they sort of, those can be similar. I mean,
they can. No, I know, I agree.
So,
I just think, but you're right, like, because people are pushed so far that they have to put up a wall, and then there's no maneuverability.
Yeah.
Sir William, with all the people that you do readings for, what challenges do you see that people have with not putting up boundaries, or what insights do you have from your readings?
Great question. Great discussion, ladies. First of all, for myself, you can probably imagine a lot like a therapist. I experience a certain amount of intimacy with a person without knowing them at all. They're telling me their deepest fears and so on. And so I have to have very distinct boundaries. Kind of like you mentioned, like the hospice nurse. Like, oh my God, you just understand me. I love you. No, you don't. You don't know anything about me. All right? Chill, baby. Because
That
I'm all
sounds like
that.
your boundary.
Right. Okay. But also,
William, let me interrupt you. I always tell William, I said, he's Sir William. He's got this magnetic charm, and he's the women are just like, I want to get me some of that Duffin.
stop it.
I want to get me some of that Duffin. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
That's That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
So
Apparently,
the
Eric,
romance between you
and
two.
I knew you were thinking that. That's right. So that's my boundaries I've had to learn doing this professionally for over 20 years. Okay. And then I teach a class called the Empathy Gift of Spirit, because empathy is a big, like, everybody's an empath and everybody's a narcissist, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa. You can't all be empaths and narcissists. You know, so how does healthy boundaries comes up? Because what we used to call empathic is highly sensitive person. It's a very good book from, I don't know, like probably 30 years ago, called The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine Aron. It's very good. A lot better than a lot of these new books that use the word empath. Anyway, so I talk about in the class. Yes, you are sensitive. Just say it. Say it with me. You know, you know what I mean? It's like, just, you know,
Yeah.
And so, like, getting real about who you are and what you are, and therefore you have to develop boundaries. And a lot of people, it seems to me, are afraid of establishing boundaries because they don't want to lose that connection. Because to them, a boundary is like a fence or a wall. And I say, how about a boundary is a gate? Okay, you let them in and show them the way out when you need to. You know, it doesn't mean you have to block everybody off, because, like you said, the easiest way to understand and develop boundaries real quick is when you're hurt, and you do the fight or flight. You know, you say, nope, I can't have you in my life. You hurt me. F off, whatever.
William, I have a total visual for what you're saying, and like,
good.
when you're talking about it. No, I want to go back to you. But, like, basically, I say walls block people out. Boundaries make it safe to let people in. So I totally see it that way as a gate. So when you're setting boundaries, you're not at the point where you're so far beyond your boundary that you're like, fuck no, you're not allowed to, I can't do this. That's actually in the ultimatum space, and it's not actually a healthy space for a relationship.
You should have set that boundary along
before that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the term I use is set expectations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I gotcha.
And some, you know, and for most people, it's subtle. Like work relationships, you know, with the intimate partner or a very good friend, it should be pretty easy, right? Because we love each other. I saw that. She's like, I
do that for a living. It's not easy, but at least I have a job forever.
And so, and like you guys were saying, you know, there's a conversation to be had. If it's difficult for you to set boundaries with your husband or wife, there's a conversation to have right now. And, you know, that's why you're here. So yeah, I was just saying that I teach this class and boundaries come up because, you know, a lot of people that come to me are having their own psychic experiences. And whether it's, you know, in my dreams or with people or, you know, this Civil War soldier marches through my bedroom every night and keeps me up and I can't sleep. That was the conversation I actually had. She hadn't slept like in 3 months because the Civil War soldier kept marching through her room. Like, did you ask him what he wants? No.
Did you ask him to walk instead of march?
Ask him what he wants. If he doesn't answer you, tell him, say, get out. I got to go to sleep. You know, it's pretty simple.
Well, the Civil War soldier walking through the bedroom, I think, is going to be our stopping point here for today. We're already at the end. It feels like we barely got started. So before we leave here, though, if you want to reach Sir William, you go to where?
Mediumwill.com. My email is william@mediumwill.com. Phone number is 314-403-4744.
And Beth Darling?
BethDarling.com. That's easy peasy. BethDarling.com.
And Angela Skurtu, we're going to let you, the other two will speak more on the next podcast. How can they reach out to you and what can you do for people?
Sure. So the easiest one is my website, therapistInSt.Louis.com. And you can submit a contact form to see me. But if also you just want free information, I have a YouTube channel. So look up my name, Angela Skurtu, Skurtu, under YouTube. And please like and subscribe and submit comments and questions, because I do answer people's questions on the YouTube videos. I also have 2 books, Premarital Counseling, A Guide for Clinicians, and Helping Couples Overcome Infidelity on Amazon. And I'm currently writing my 3rd book, which is called Becoming Fuckable. And that will be coming out next year.
What did you say?
Yes, I did that.
I
And
can't wait to read that.
The sections are, they're so fun. Thank you. I hope you do subscribe. One of the sections is titled Clusterfucks. And that's all about the problems of sex. So that just gives you an idea of the content. But basically, it's a book about like the things you personally need to work on, the things couples need to work on, and like what good sex looks like. The 3rd section is all about just like fun, hot sex. But then the 4th section is clusterfucks, like the problems that happen with sex. And so there's going to be a lot of fuck talk, but it's very real and very fun. And it's real, like this, whatever you've seen of me, this is throughout the book. Reach out at therapistintlouis.com or my YouTube channel. I'd love more subscribers.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for joining us on this wild ride of celebration and connection. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to keep the good vibes rolling in part 2. They will all be back on part 2. Stay tuned, stay awesome, and remember, life is too short not to celebrate the heck out of every milestone. Catch you on the flip side for part 2 of Porn Talks 100th episode extravaganza.
Thanks for listening. If you're struggling with porn or sex addiction, reach out to Eric at powerfuleric.com.